Hey, what's up guys? KEVINCAGE here with another crypto update. I'm currently visiting my in-laws right now, so I'm trying to do this video on my small gaming laptop. So hopefully the audio quality is decent. We're going to dive into some news. I'll try to keep it short and sweet. We're going to dive into XRP first, go over some recent developments, and if we have time, we'll go over some additional stuff. Okay, so first up, we know Ripple the company acquired 100% of this global custodian Metaco for $250 million, and they're going after crypto custody. And they believe the growing institutional crypto custody market is expected to reach a staggering $10 trillion by 2030. So Metaco is a Swiss-based provider of digital asset custody and tokenization. They're a global custodian partnering with a variety of banks and companies including IBM. We can see BBVA builds its crypto muscle with Metaco. We can see VP Bank consolidating digital asset custody and tokenization with Metaco. We have DZ Bank, we have Union Bank, we have BNP Paribas. We have Archax, and we've talked about them before. They're using Hedera's Hashgraph for fund tokenization for Aberdeen, and their AUM is over $500 billion US. So remember that Ripple owns 100% of this custodian, and we can see that Citibank as well, partnering with Metaco back in June. So Citigroup is a very interesting organization. Remember, Citigroup, JP Morgan, and HSBC account for 80% of all cross-border payments. And Matthew LINY right here, Ernst & Young highlighting the BIS, the central bank of all central banks. The value of international payments continues to rise, and it's expected to be $250 trillion US in 2027. As you can see right there, cross-border payments, B2B transactions, etc. We have Cowboy Crypto, an absolute must-follow in the XRP community, sharing right here. Brad Garlinghouse saying, Ripple is competing with the liquidity of Citi, being one of the three biggest banks, overseeing the correspondent banking network of cross-border payments, and the messaging of SWIFT in one solution, because we are both messaging and liquidity.
Messages to banks that have liquidity. So to some degree, Citibank and HSBC, really the top two, JPM, those are the top three liquidity banks. And when you're sending SWIFT messages, you're sending messages to banks to release liquidity and making sure the debits and credits match. So to some degree, really boil it down, Ripple's competing with the liquidity of Citi and the messaging of SWIFT, but in one, because we're both messaging and liquidity.
And I think that's really interesting, and hopefully you caught the last 10-30 seconds of the last video I did, sharing Craig DeWitt's commentary on XRP's position for this. And next up, we've shared by Moonchaser, we have HOME, H-O-M-E, a new mortgage-backed stablecoin coming to the XRP ledger. Every loan is backed by a home that is worth more than the amount of the loan. Every loan is over-collateralized. The average loan in the pool backing home is over-collateralized by 30% or more, making the value of the home higher than the lien in the loan against the home. So I encourage you guys to check this out. This is HOME Coin Finance, the first mortgage-backed stablecoin coming to the XRP ledger. And to date, the RWA protocol has facilitated the funding of over 46 home loans. And the loans backing home generate a 2 to 5% return from borrowers repaying the loans without incentives, helping homeowners by giving them faster, more flexible, and uniquely beneficial loans, all on top of the XRP ledger. And as we know, shared by Cowboy Crypto, Ripple the company is currently speaking with more than 20 countries on central bank digital currency plans. Now their entire central bank digital currency platform exists on top of the XRP ledger. And touching on FedNow briefly with David Schwartz commentary shared by Anders, an absolute must follow. Now remember, FedNow is domestic. In terms of international payments, that is where the most friction exists. However, David Schwartz does point out the last mile is also very important. So FedNow's open architecture will enable banks and other FIs to develop APIs to integrate with FedNow, with new payment services and applications to encourage the use of technologies such as AI, machine learning, and potentially blockchain apps. And remittance companies and their customers would also welcome more speed with cross-border payments. And here's David Schwartz, Ripple CTO's commentary. The biggest obstacle is often the very last hop, the last mile, getting the funds to the payment recipient through the domestic payment system. With the lack of connectivity to consumers, central bank digital currencies will not solve the last mile problem that has made modernizing international payments so difficult. So this commentary was from a few years ago discussing FedNow, Singapore, and other domestic systems that are getting more modern. However, the last mile problem still exists, and central bank digital currencies cannot solve this issue. Now Anders L right here sharing some additional information related to FedNow, the domestic payment system, with Bob Way's commentary, one of the first Ripple employees. ISO 222 is way bigger than you might think at first. It replaces the previous SWIFT standards MT and MX and adds a lot of other things. The reason this 222 transition that we are witnessing is extremely helpful to Ripple's bank sales team is this means that every bank is required to implement new technology. In discussing why most bank integrations don't happen, new system developments are expensive, risky, the person you're negotiating with needs to have a product budget, a development budget, a risk appetite, and typically things don't go through. But now that this 222 migration is mandatory, banks don't have a choice. And he said this back in December, even if banks wait for a settlement for Ripple and XRP Clarity, their 222 upgraded system becomes much easier for Ripple to integrate with them. The biggest impact is going to be that even smaller banks are going to be upgrading their systems, and that creates a much larger pool of on-demand liquidity compatible banks. And a lot of newcomers say, well, if ODL and XRP for liquidity is so great, why don't the biggest banks do this? It's because they're making billions of dollars per year in the world of transaction banking, because the system is inefficient and there's friction and they charge fees on top of that. Ripple the company, the XRP ledger, and other blockchain technology is a threat to the existing system, because it'll level the playing field and help these smaller banks so they're not forced to pay all these heavy fees leveraging the biggest liquidity providers and systems today, such as JP Morgan, HSBC, and CITI. But at the same time, this can't be stopped, so the world's biggest banks are building initiatives, they're researching initiatives to see what they can really do, because they have to move with change, either trying to build new competing products or slow it down altogether so that they can still reap these rewards. And these smaller banks get the most benefit from on-demand liquidity, leveraging XRP as a bridge asset. It lets them cut the larger correspondent banks out of their flow and their cost. So just pointing out FedNow using the new ISO 222 Global Financial Messaging Standard. So bottom line, for the first time in a very long time, all of the banks around the world are forced to do this mandatory migration, which in theory would make it easier to integrate with RippleNet. We have Arthur Britta, one of the original designers of the XRP ledger. I call him the ghost, the man, the myth, the legend. The XRP ledger needs to be able to scale to serve 7.5 billion plus people and even more devices. So I think it's important to remember the creator of the XRP ledger that sits on the board of PolySign as well for multi-sig or multi-signature had in mind from the very beginning for the XRP ledger to be able to serve the entire world plus a variety of IoT devices or more. Also, Wrath Economin, so Ripple partner Neum, we've talked about them before, a big ODL user, and just to talk about some recent developments and their profits using on-demand liquidity. We can see they've doubled their revenue, there's been 12 billion in transaction volume, and it's expected to 2x in the European Union in 2023. And it seems like they're continuing to hire, sign new customers, expand their product suite, etc. So just another great case study of a financial institution using XRP in their payment flows today. Also just wanted to point out iTrustCapital being integrated with Fortress, which is an absolute giant. We can see Fortress utilizes BitGo and Fireblocks for multi-party computation, offline cold storage, regular security and financial audits. We can see awarded SOC 2 Type 2 certification. And BitGo is one of the largest crypto custodians in the space. They support CASPER, XRP, etc. And remember back in 2017, they also made institutional grade XRP wallets. And also with Fireblocks, you can go to their website and type in different alts to see which projects they support. They support HBAR, QNT, and a variety of other utility tokens. So I'm still waiting for iTrustCapital to list HBAR, QNT, and a variety of other projects in the future. And I know over the past few months with the SEC cracking down on exchanges, going after Coinbase, Binance, two of the largest in the world, Bitrue, Kraken, etc., it's not really helping the case or encouraging a lot of platforms or exchanges to list a variety of other projects in the short term. But I have faith, guys. We know where this future is headed. This is another day in this bear market that will not last forever. And feel free to check out iTrustCapital. This is linked in the top of the YouTube video description. This is what I've used for over 3 years now. They're worth over $1 billion, over 7 billion in transaction volume. I have a Roth IRA, so I'm paying 0% in capital gains instead of paying 15% or 40% in taxes if I just use Coinbase. So feel free to check out the link in the video description if you'd like to create an account. If you fund your account, you also get a $100 funding reward, which is in the US dollar. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Huge thank you to all that hit the like button. I know prices haven't done anything for months. I know it might be boring, but these are the times when it matters most. And I believe this too will pass, and we're going to look back at these days and realize how big of an opportunity this really was. So I'm excited to get back home, get on my PC, because I have a bunch of new information to share for a variety of projects that I think is super interesting. So I hope everybody has an awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one.